Hello friends, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar's Learning App. So today we are going to see about Pakistan's national security policy. It is seen that this policy is a historical decision taken by the Pakistan government because this is the first time a country like Pakistan has came up with a national security policy. So what are the provisions of this policy, why this policy has been brought, and why India needs to be concerned about the policy? We will discuss this in detail in this discussion. So what is the context of the issue? So Pakistan's new national security policy seeks peace with India for next 100 years. So what does it mean that Pakistan wants a peaceful relation with India in a long term? So it wants India to be a friendly country rather than an enemy country. So why this policy was brought up now only by the Pakistan? So the first reason was increasing inflation in the country. So Pakistan is facing nearly 12% of the inflation, which is harming the economy of Pakistan. Secondly, unemployment rate has been increasing. Unemployment is increasing, which is resulting into unrest among the citizens of the Pakistan. So the economic condition of the Pakistan has become so poor that many of the international organizations like World Bank and IMF, they are reluctant to provide the loans to the Pakistan. So this was one of the major reasons to bring the national security policy by the Pakistan. So this policy was prepared by National Security Commission of Pakistan. So it's not that it is prepared only by the committee, but it was prepared after 7 years of the research. After long discussions with different stakeholders, this policy has been brought up. But why India needs to discuss this policy? Why it is important from India's point of view? Firstly, Pakistan is an enemy neighbor country of India. Also, Pakistan has always tried to destabilize India by sponsoring terrorist activity in India, as well as helping the anti-national organizations which are working in India in the form of arms or the financial aids. Also, there is a nexus between Pakistan and China. So China and Pakistan, they are working closely with each other to destabilize India. Both China and Pakistan has a long border, international border with India. So it is a disputed border with Pakistan as well as China, which is making a big challenge for India. So both the countries, they are coming together and they are working against India. So they are trying to destabilize India in each and every form. Also, China has came up with a Chinese border law. So this border law has a direct impact on the bordering areas of India. So this is a twin challenge before India with respect to Chinese border law as well as national security policy of Pakistan. Now the issue here is what the policy will be having the provision with respect to Jammu and Kashmir, especially after striking down of 370 article of Indian Constitution. After this step of India, Pakistan is trying to take up the issue of Jammu Kashmir at international level. So we have to look forward to this policy from India's security point of view. Now here we can understand that only the few provisions of the policy has been made public. So the complete policy we are still unaware of. So we need to wait and watch with respect to the what are the other provisions of the policy. But now we have only few provisions of the policy. So the first thing to discuss about the policy is that the first important provision of the policy is guiding the country's economic, foreign and defense policies. This policy is majorly focusing on the economic aspects as well as defense aspects of the country. So what here Pakistan is trying to do, it is trying to move from geopolitics to geo-economics. So first thing, why it needs to strengthen its economic policy? Because there is rising inflation in the country as well as to tackle the unemployment rate in the Pakistan. So this is one of the major focus of Pakistan in this policy. Now also we can see here that stronger economy is needed to Pakistan to modernize its military as well as to strengthen its human security. So this is also one of the reasons to become a stronger economic nation. Also, according to the government of Pakistan, this policy is citizen-centric, which is focusing mostly on the economic security of the citizens. So it is trying to provide economic security to its citizen by providing them employment opportunities as well as providing them other welfare activities. So it wants to strengthen the human development or the human resource of the country to tackle the economic problems of the country. And the span of the policy is 5 years, that is from 2022 to 2026. So within this 5 years of period, it wants to strengthen its economic security as well as the defense security. So Pakistan wants to provide safety, security and dignity to the Pakistani nationals. So this policy is trying to solve the problems related to economy, food, water, military security, terrorism, population growth, and also dealing with external world, especially with respect to the major powers. But which are the major powers, this policy doesn't explains. So these are the various problems which this policy tries to tackle or tries to face it. And the most important point here is that this policy seeks a peaceful relationship with India for next 100 years. So according to this policy, Pakistan doesn't want any conflict with India with respect to border or terrorism or any other issues at the national or international level. So this was all about the provisions of the national security policy of Pakistan. So why this policy is very much important from India's point of view? Firstly, internal security. So we have seen that historically Pakistan is trying to help the terrorist organization to work against India. So by using the different terrorist organization, Pakistan wants to destabilize India. It wants to spread radicalism, it wants to spread terrorist activity across India through these terrorist outfits. So for doing this, it is also providing arms as well as money help to the terrorist organizations. Secondly, India and Pakistan has a disputed border area. So according to this policy, it wants to strengthen its defense. It wants to strengthen its military. So this means that it wants to strengthen its defense. It wants to strengthen its weapons. It wants to strengthen the infrastructure along the bordering areas. And this automatically, it will have an impact with respect to India's security. So this is also one of the major concern for India. Thirdly, Pakistan can play a Chinese card against India. So there can be a double threat along the border from Pakistan on one side and China on other side. So China can take advantage here of the conflict between India and Pakistan, and it can also attack on the bordering areas of India. So this is also one of the concern with respect to India. Now also this can affect the relationship between India and its neighboring countries. For example, this policy talks about the relation with Afghanistan. It talks about what it has to do with Afghanistan. So it can automatically impact the relationship between India and Afghanistan. So these are the major important concerns with respect to India. So India also needs to take a proactive steps with respect to this policy. As India also doesn't have any security policy in place, there is an urgent need to look after this security policy, and there is need to bring the national security policy to tackle the emerging issues, to tackle the security threats of the country. So this was all about the national security policy of Pakistan and why it is important from India's point of view. So thanks for joining us. Thank you.